Hi, my name is Evan Jenkins with 97.1 The Ticket here in Detroit, and I am pleased today to be joined by WWE superstar Karrion Kross because he and the WWE will be coming to LCA Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Karrion, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. So when we talk about you, the first thing that comes to mind for me, and this has been something with me with wrestling since I was a little kid, has always been the entrances. So not only with WWE, but like football teams, everything. And yours is like top notch to me. How did all of that come about for you?
It was all by design, really. Growing up as a fan, watching wrestling, and then becoming a professional and understanding the dynamics and the functionality of programming, I just thought, these are the people that are on the roster that are really good at what they do. How can I help become a part of this program and diversify the presentation for the audience? And I was always mesmerized by these larger than life characters and presentations watching wrestling. I always loved the high spots and everything like that, but the bigger the character, the stranger the character, the more intrigue and mystique and stuff like that. I was really drawn in by that. And so, coming from a place of passion, I designed these characters, Kross and Scarlet, and basically submitted it into the creative process. And I asked for their feedback, and they were really into it. And that's kind of how it started.
Now, when you do that, are you kind of like, I'm sure you're a perfectionist with your craft. Do you go back and do you watch and say, maybe I could do that better? Or maybe, a little bit of slower walk here would be better. Do you go back and look at those things kind of like a pro team would and look at their tape and how can I do it better?
Always. And most of us do that. I would be like mortified if I found out somebody wasn't doing that. We all privately hold ourselves to an incredibly high standard. It's kind of what makes it fun. It's how you improve. And I don't know. I heard this from an old timer a while ago, but the moment you stop improving is like kind of like when you, or like stop learning, you should probably hang it up. Uh, I've never looked at that as anything troubling, but it just makes it fun, actually. You know what I mean? Almost like a well oiled football team, when they're putting a play together, they can always do the play better. There's no such thing as a perfect play. You
Right,
can always do it
exactly.
better.
Now even like your outfit that you wear, your wrestling gear and everything, how close are you to like looking at that and being like, you know what, that is awesome? Because when you come out, man, I mean, it's top notch, like I said, and there's probably you're up there with the top 5 entrances, and then just gimmick and everything that you do is like the perfect wrestling character to me growing up loving wrestling. I mean, wrestling's different. It's not, you're not getting your why can't I think of his name? But like jobbers back in the day, but you have a character, you have a story, and you believe it, and I believe it as somebody watching. And just how important is that to you to keep building your character and your story week to week? Because that's what's so great about WWE to me is that I know it's on Mondays, it's on Fridays, and just like this Friday when you come to Detroit, like I know what to expect. I'm getting my entertainment. But like you prepping that each and every week, how tough is that for you to not duplicate what you may have done the week before, but always adding to your character, to your brand, to yourself?
It's fun for me, and I thrive in that sort of situation, which is why I've stayed in this for as long as I have and really don't want to do anything else. Like, I love this. There's nothing else that I want to be doing. So, um, it's challenging, but it's a fun challenge. It's a very rewarding challenge. I am a very creative person. I was one of those kids that was always drawing when I was little and always wanted to create things and stuff like that. A lot of us have that, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of us like to create things. And I was able to identify that I was that way from a very early age. And I just decided to embrace that and lean into it as much as possible. And I found the perfect outlet, which is to create entertaining things for people. So it's a lot of fun. And I definitely, as I said, I really thrive on that. I think it is important too to have a story, especially with WWE. It's such a storytelling based uh, company, and the most important things are the narratives. Going out there and having a cold match is fine. You know what I mean? It's good. You can definitely take the audience for a ride and have a good time. But me personally, I love the story. If you give me something I can sink my teeth into, and I'm allotted the time to romance the audience, and really draw them into what's going on and explain to them why the conflict is happening and really Shakespeare them into it. I absolutely love that.
Now you're coming into Detroit for SmackDown Friday night, LCA. Yeah, is there anything about Detroit that comes to mind when you think of Detroit, or is it just another wrestling stop for you? Oh, did I lose you?
I really, um, it's a very good wrestling crowd. There's a lot of diehard fans there. The last time I was in Detroit, I noticed that there were a lot of families in the audience, which I personally love. I used to go to wrestling with my family as well. It just creates a different dynamic. There's a, in my opinion, a better energy. You know, when the whole family is out, they're all enjoying this experience. It's like when you go watch a movie by yourself versus when you're watching a movie with a friend in the theaters. You know, something happens in the film, you take a moment and you go, you know, and you in a movie theater you want to be quiet, but you look over at your buddy or whoever you're with, your significant other, and you guys are experiencing something together. And I think it's cool on that level because when the show's done for the rest of your life, you remember going and having that experience with somebody with you. You guys can talk about it forever. I had those moments when I was a kid. I would go with my friends or with my family and stuff like that. So
Just a couple more before I let you go. Being a wrestling fan, you grew up in New York. Explain to me why Madison Square Garden is so special for wrestling, other than the history and the WWE started there, and that was their main territory. Vince and his father, they controlled it. But explain to me, somebody that has never been there, why that is just so cool.
I was having this conversation with my wife just recently, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know why it was either until I went there and I was in the audience. And then it was a completely different experience when I actually performed there. There is an energy. There is an energy in that place that is nowhere else that I've ever performed. I've performed all over the world. I've performed in Japan, India, Mexico, Canada, Puerto Rico. I mean, I could go on and on. Switzerland, Germany, uh, the UK, everywhere. There is something completely different about Madison Square Gardens. There's just, I don't know if it's the building, I don't know if it's the people, I don't know if it's them combined both with the WWE show and the energy that we're bringing. There's just something very powerful there. And I don't mean to like make it, a mystical statement, but there are just some things in life, believe it or not, no matter what you believe in, there's something magical. I don't know what the other word is, but it's something you have to really be there to really see it and understand it. And to be honest with you, I think even for me watching wrestling on TV when they were in the gardens, I could feel something different through the television. The energy was just different. It was just up. There's just something there energetically. People are like unified in some sort of insane synchronicity. It's just very cool.
Yeah, it seems like that's just like, if for a wrestling fan like myself, that's one place you should go see an event. Now, about you, you have a rivalry going on, and there's also this big pay-per-view going on, kind of one of my favorites. It's the Royal Rumble. We're leading up to it. Talk a little bit just about your rivalry, what you got going on, and then just what does the Royal Rumble mean to you? Because I find myself going on Peacock and watching these Royal Rumbles, and I'll go all the way back to like the early 90s when Ric Flair came out and won it, all the way up until last year, and rewatch and look for different things, or the pops from the crowd, or the countdown. Like, what do you, I guess, remember growing up watching it, what you look forward to, and then also this Rey Mysterio character? Eh.
Oh yeah, Rey Mysterio, he's like one of the greatest of all time. Whatever, no big deal.
Right. I mean, you know what's funny about him is growing up, I was born in 83. So my heyday of wrestlers were the big bulking dudes, right? And so when I first saw Rey Mysterio, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I don't buy it, blah, blah, blah. But then once I matured and realized what it was, I started liking him so much. But it's just funny how that's, I guess, when you're doing your job right. I don't like you. That means you're doing your job right in wrestling, right?
That's right. It's always really cool for me to be reminded about how wrestling hits people differently depending on where they are in their life, like a certain age, or like um, what they prefer to watch, storytelling versus high spots and stuff like that. I think it's amazing. I think it's a really cool thing that you can actually take something that people are creating and you can put it in front of like 7 different people, and all 7 people will take something different out of it. But to some degree, they're all going to enjoy it across the boards. I think that's very cool. I think it's cool to have different perspectives on stuff like that. And it provides us actually a whole nother perspective about what we're doing. It makes us a little bit more cognitive and self-aware to diversify what we're doing. But with Ray, the situation is he's got all of his personal cards out there. He's obviously having issues with his son Dominic. It's a very tragic situation, and here comes Kross. He's coming in to open up these wounds and get in his head like he usually does. He plays the mind games of people, and he turns them inside out, and then he eats them up alive. And we are watching the process of that happening right now. So we'll see how that plays out. As far as the Royal Rumble, that was always my favorite match to watch as a kid because literally anything can happen. This one single match that happens once a year, and I've said this before, to me has always been as important as WrestleMania because this can set up new feuds. New people can come back. People that have been around could make a complete and total comeback. You have no idea. Everyone always likes to have these preconceived notions about who's going to do what, and that's part of the fun of it. You know what I mean? You talk about what you think is going to happen, like in anything in life. But really, honestly, anything can happen in the Royal Rumble. And it's an opportunity to put people in front of each other that have never squared off. Those are like just hundreds of cool moments that are going to happen before the end of the night where one guy is left standing. It doesn't get any cooler than that.
No, it really doesn't. And speaking of cool, go to SmackDown Friday night, LCA, go see Karrion and all of his colleagues. And you never know what you're going to get to see. And I mean, there's some guy that thinks he runs the WWE. God, I can't stand Roman Reigns. Anyway, I digress. But go watch a wrestling match live. It is something like you'll never see before. Even if you do not love the sport of professional wrestling, this is an event that you, your wife, your kids, people that have never seen it before will get a new love for it. I know from seeing it on TV to seeing it in person are two different things. Just the sound that you get from that mat when you're smacking your back on it is amazing. So, Karrion, thank you so much. That's SmackDown Friday night, LCA, Detroit, Michigan. I appreciate you so much, and best of luck to you in the future.
TikTok.